things and give them brand recommendations. Like you mentioned, hydration drinks, what kind of deodorants are actually right for your body and your skin? What are the clean personal care products out there, and creating actionable steps and helping people know and do. Right. A lot of times we know, but we don't do. So that's really how it came about. And a cool story, she told another person, she told another person, she told another person. It was just like referral after referral after referral. And I counted it. Eventually it was 8 people down that now this year, the guy was named, I think, Sports Illustrated Male Athlete of the Year. He emailed me and went, "Hey, I heard you do this thing with food. Can I do that thing?" Like, sure. So now he's won, I think it's like, gosh, I should probably know this, but 7 gold medals, I think. Wow. And so we got to, work with him, and that was really a cool experience. And he's referred us to other Olympians and other, high level athletes. So we got to work with a lot of people, which has been really, really cool. But that's just how successful, I would say, people found this tool. So they told people about it, and they've told people, and they told people, and it's just really branched out.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast, your source for living a healthier lifestyle and developing a better mind, body, and soul. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful fitness gurus, athletes, and individuals who are passionate about enhancing all aspects of life, we provide you with the tools to help you take your lifestyle to another level. And now your host, Quinn Mitchell.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. This is your host, Quinn Mitchell. Today I have a very special guest. Erica Beine is a sports nutritionist, and she's also a former coach. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks, Quinn. Doing great. Thank you.
No problem. So for people who's not familiar with you, would you mind giving a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I was a college athlete myself. I grew up, being active. I swam in high school. I was a college swimmer. I swam at the Division III level and was an All-American there. Oh, wow. I went on and coached Division I college swimming for 13 years. So swimming was kind of my jam, but we're a big basketball household since my husband worked in sports medicine for basketball at the Division I level for many years. So my kids are very into basketball as well, two kids. But after I left coaching, I really got into, I wouldn't say even after I left coaching. During coaching, I became kind of forced to be really knowledgeable about nutrition, to help plan meals for our team, snacks for our teams. Really had to take on that role in some capacities because I was available all the time as a coach to the team. So there I'd get a lot of questions, especially from the women, on nutrition. So I really dove into that and got certified as a sports nutritionist, a holistic nutritionist, health coach. I really wanted to learn and know. And then when I left coaching, I wanted to change how athletes feed themselves. But because I don't know about you in the basketball realm of things, but in the swimming world, it is, you burn as much calories as Michael Phelps, everybody does, so you can eat whatever you want. And it doesn't matter if that's pizza, cheeseburgers, or broccoli, you can eat whatever you want. And, now that we're much more educated and things are becoming a lot easier to understand about our bodies, we're seeing that that's not actually the best route. I mean, I grew up that way. I could eat whatever I wanted. I was burning so many calories, didn't matter. But we do see with the number of, I've worked with over 40 Olympians. I've worked with a lot of national teamers, a lot of pro athletes, a lot of high school, college athletes as well. And just learning how their body responds to food and what they're eating and their vitamins. We're trying to change the culture in sport of how people feed themselves, and not just follow the one size fits all nutrition model, but really figure out for you, how does your body work? And that's what we try to do.
Nah, that's awesome. So for me, this is very interesting because coming from a basketball standpoint, even in college, nutrition really wasn't something that we really focused on. It was more weightlifting and trying to skill work, I should say. So when it came to the nutrition, we just ate whatever was in the cafeteria. Yeah. So if an athlete comes to you per se, what are some of the first things? Is there some a diagram or something that you put them through to actually break down how their diet is, and then how do you transform that diet into what they need?
Yeah, great question. So the first thing we always do, no matter what kind of client they are, and we do work with some non-athlete clients also, is we put them through a genetic test. And so they swab their cheek, they drop it in a mailbox, it goes to a HIPAA protected lab, so their data isn't sold or shared. And what we generate out of that is a 38-page report, or not, it's not 30 pages, 38 gene report. Man, I'm not saying this right. 38 gene report on about 46 pages. So we get to see things like What's your carb sensitivity? What's your fat sensitivity? How do you respond to dairy and lactose and dairy fat, caffeine, alcohol? How's your body responding to strength training? What's fatiguing your body? What kind of recovery things should you be doing? What kind of vitamins should you have, and which ones should you avoid and limit in your diet because they're actually working against your body?
Wow.
So that's where we start with everyone. Okay. And so what we do once we get that report back is someone, myself, or one of the people on our team meets with that client through Zoom. And it takes us about 90 minutes to go through that whole report and explain what this gene result means. What do you experience every day? Is it, I'm sore all the time, or my stomach always hurts? I always have bloating. You can get into some really big in-depth things there. And what do we do about this? So how do we need to balance what you eat before the night of a game or a swim meet or a competition? What's your best meal? Is it the Olive Garden all you can eat endless pasta bowl? Or is it probably, if you have to go to Olive Garden, the salmon, the asparagus, and rice? Is that your better choice based on your sensitivities when it comes to food? And what should you be eating during the day? How much should you be eating? Should you drink a protein shake before you go to bed, or should you not? Like, what are things we can do to help you respond to food well? We look at vitamins. Are you taking the right stuff? Are you not? Do we need to add anything into your routine that's sports safe? Do we need to take anything out of your routine that's really working against your body? So that's really where our process starts. We don't necessarily do like a whole intake of what do you currently do? That's sort of the conversation that comes along with the results review.
So one thing that you said though, when you said vitamins working against your body. So really with everything that's going on in the world now, you hear, oh, you should just take these vitamins and it'll help your immune system, help everything, basically keep your body intact. So what you're saying, you said that vitamins actually work against your body. Would you mind just digging into that a little bit, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So I totally believe like the whole multivitamin thing is going to be like the blockbuster. At some point, we're going to look back and be like, we really took a multivitamin that was supposed to be good for everybody. We really went and rented VHS tapes from this place. I really think the multivitamin is going to end up in that sort of, category, extinct, because not everybody can convert or absorb or transport vitamins the same way. We don't have as much of the ability to convert things. And one of the guys that I really like to follow that's out there, he's a scientist, his name's Gary Brecka, and he explains this such a good way. And I kind of steal this from him. It's like, if you take oil out of the ground and try to put it in your gas tank, your car's not going to run. Okay, you have to convert that to gasoline. And that's like our bodies. We have to convert vitamins that we put in our system to usable forms. And if we don't, our bodies are broken. Our systems in our body are broken. Our mental health, our thyroid, our hormones, our digestion, our systems start to break down and clog up and don't work the way they should. So when we put certain things in our body that our body can't convert or move the way it should, our bodies and our systems break. And so those are the things that we look out for and say, okay, you're getting this nutrient through your multivitamin. That's actually the wrong one for you. If you're really set on a multivitamin, that's fine, but let's get the right one that's actually for your body, that's going to help you and not make your symptoms of fatigue, exhaustion, cramping, menstrual cycles worse than what you're already feeling.
That's amazing that you say that. And are there any particular vitamins or nutrients that are in certain foods that a lot of people don't know about? Because I know when you talk about it on your page, that you can share as well. You have some articles up there that people could go look at, and people can see that there's certain foods that a lot of people, like myself, like I was never really into like vegetables or eating certain things. So I was really missing out on the key nutrients when it came to my diet and keeping the longevity of playing wise. So are there certain foods that you would recommend to athletes that they may not know about?
Yeah. Well, if you didn't eat a lot of vegetables, first of all, I bet you have the bitter taster gene, and that makes you not really like vegetables very much. And, like, oh, yeah, they're gross. A lot of people that I work with that have that gene result do not love anything green. That's not their favorite thing to eat, but we got to learn to like them because they are good for us. We got to adult at some point and eat stuff that's still good for us that we don't totally enjoy. But one of the major things that we talk about watching out for is synthetic vitamins. Okay, so if you have a certain gene result that pops up, we know your body can't convert synthetic vitamins like folic acid or cyanocobalamin, which is a fake synthetic form of vitamin B12, which a lot of people will supplement more for energy or get it through 5-hour energy shots. You can't convert those the way you should. Okay. And so what happens is kind of a two-pronged thing. One, you're not getting enough of the nutrient that your body should ingest and absorb because you can't convert it to a usable form in your body. And two, it's actually going to make things worse in your system because now that's a foreign body or like a foreign substance in your body that it doesn't know what to do with. So now it has to work really hard to process that and try to get it out. Okay. So that's kind of a twofold approach to that. And so folic acid is a big one that we end up talking about, of getting those types of things out of their system. We also talk about lifestyle products, like what do you put on your skin, because there's certain genes that don't allow your body to detoxify well. So you're holding on to toxins, which makes your health poor, which directly relates to your playing ability, your competition ability, your practice ability. If your body's over toxified and fatigued, you can't train the way you should. Right. So it's not so much even what you put in your system, but what goes on the outside of your system that gets in your body and stays there and it does some things that we don't really want. So synthetic stuff is really something we watch out for. And you find that in, artificial stuff in Gatorades, you find it in body armor, you find it in all kinds of stuff, right? Pastas, breads, Ritz crackers, goldfish crackers, the common college diet, essentially.
So would you mind just digging into what you mentioned before, just about the things you put on your body? Because for me, I never really, that's nothing that even like dawned on me, just because you think like you put sunblock or lotion on, I never knew that could really affect your performance. So would you mind just digging into that a little bit, and how, because I know a lot of athletes listen to this podcast. Like I said, they may not know this as well. So this is very interesting for me as well.
Yeah. So when you have the gene mutation, it's called the MTHFR gene. And I always say it kind of looks like a swear word when you start to spell it out. MTHFR. Okay. And so what that does is it inhibits your ability to process out toxins in your system. Okay. And so when we put toxins on our body through Bath and Body Works lotions, and no shame on Bath and Body Works, but they use a lot of synthetic chemicals in their products. They smell good, but there's a reason why. Shampoos, conditioners, lotions, facial creams, sunscreen, as you mentioned, things we clean our house with, maybe, Mr. Clean, or I can't think of any of the other ones. Herbal Essence is a big one that has a lot of chemicals in it. We put that stuff on our body, it absorbs through our skin into our bloodstream. Okay. And when you have this gene variant or mutation, it can be called, is that our body doesn't do well flushing that out. We should flush that stuff out, but instead, where those toxins, they go to store in our fat cells. So when our fat cells are over toxified, one, it can make them harder to lose. Okay. Wow. And as an athlete, most people don't have a whole lot of fat cells. There's not much on their body, right? It's pretty minimal. So it has to go somewhere else, and it will attack our thyroid and mess with our hormones, or make our thyroid over or underactive. That can contribute to weight gain, mental health concerns, mood disorders. It will attack our brain. Okay. We can have, again, mental health disorders or concerns. We can have migraines. There's even connections into the certain types of that mutation of Alzheimer's, dementias, some really severe brain health concerns. There's some strong connections there. But if your body's full of toxins and it's holding on to that, again, your body's fighting this stuff and it's inflamed. It can't be over here excited to recover and perform and work hard when it's over here fighting all this stuff that's stuck in our body that it doesn't know how to handle. It's like a foreign body just stuck in there. So a lot of things can happen when we're over toxified. And so making sure as an athlete, especially, that we're putting as natural of stuff we can on our skin. It doesn't mean you have to buy a $45 bottle of organic shampoo, but anything that is less chemicals and toxins in it, the better. Short ingredient list, and you can pronounce most of the words, less chemicals, pretty simple solution. And you can find pretty cheap stuff at a Target or a Walmart or an Amazon, and that's actually much better than your standard product out there.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that as well. So when it comes to the sports drinks, I know you had mentioned like the Gatorade, the Body Armor. Those are some of they have some bad things that's in it. So is there like a sports drink, or would you just say water is the best way for athletes to recover, or is it something that you recommend? Because I know for me, when I was playing, we used to put like creatine or some
Sure.
other supplement that would help the water taste like Gatorade.
Sure.
So would it be as bad? So is this something that you recommend, as that you're saying that you're recommending to the athletes that you train?
Yeah, great question. So Gatorade actually just put out this new product. I think it's called Hydrate or Gatorade.
Yeah,
Gatorade Fit.
yeah, I see that the other day at the gas
Yeah,
station.
right. They're really good at advertising. Got a
Uh-huh.
lot of marketing dollars out there. So, yeah, I feel like Gatorade's going to come after me or something. But yeah, I'm going to pump them up here a little bit. They did a really great job on this new Gatorade Fit product that actually has a really good balance of electrolytes. It is free of artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, which for people with certain gene variants, it does not do well in their systems. So that's awesome that Gatorade has now put out a product like that that's a little more friendly to people that are looking out for those artificial and synthetic things. Because products like Gatorade Zero, they have all of that stuff in it. It
Yeah.
just and a lot of people will tell me, I used to drink Gatorade, but it hurt my stomach and I just can't do it. Well, there's a reason. Your body is not responding well to that stuff. Powerade is the same thing. Body Armor is pretty good, except it has folic acid in it. So if you have a certain gene mutation, you should probably avoid Body Armor. But there's a few out there. There's a brand called Scratch Labs. That's really good. They have a fair amount of sugar in that, but as an athlete, most people aren't concerned about the sugar consumption when it comes to during practice or training or hydration drink. There's a brand out there called Noon. I think it's pronounced Noon. Do you know how it's pronounced? It's like Nuun. None, some people say Noon. They're little tablets and you just drop them in your water, and there's some that have some caffeine in them. There's some that are more just hydration based. Those are some good brands. I hear a lot of liquid IV questions out there. They have great marketing too, because everyone asks me about liquid IV, and they don't really have a really super good balance of electrolytes. So for a competitive athlete, it's probably not your best source and solution. It's really good for the soccer mom that works out like me sometimes. That's definitely a better choice, but it's not a bad product. It's just not really the best thing you can find as a competitive athlete out there.
Gotcha. And if you don't mind, would you mind just diving into the DNA testing? Because for me, like I said, I know we had talked a little bit before the call. It's like if I knew that, knowing this stuff, I would probably have paid a little extra money just to find out what works for my body. But in college, we're not really taught this. We're just taught they give you a program and you just go out, do it, lift the weights, and whatever happens, if your body's sore, it's because you're working hard. So
Right.
would you mind just diving into the DNA testing and how that came about? Was it something that you've seen or that made you want to get into it, or and how that got started for you?
Yeah, there's a little story to that actually. So when I started my nutrition business, I didn't have the DNA tool, and we were working with some clients, and one specifically was an athlete, and it just felt like we could never necessarily nail down the nutrition piece. We got close, but there was pieces missing. It just couldn't figure it out. And so this has been a trend in the recent, I would say 15 to 10 years of eat for your DNA, eat for your blood type, only take vitamins that your body needs, fill out this survey and we're going to make you a vitamin pack for your body, right? This is becoming more of a personalized trend in the world. So I'd heard about this opportunity from Molecular Labs that does DNA testing. They do all kinds of different testing stuff. They do COVID testing. They process all kinds of samples. So they have this DNA program that you can go through. And so well, let's try it out. Do you want to give this a try? And I said, I'll do it with you. We asked a few other people that we knew in the athlete world. And they said, yeah, that sounds cool. I want to try that. So we got it back on her, this athlete, and there was a major piece in there that was just, we never would have figured this out. I just never would have figured this out. So that definitely helped. And then from there, we're like, there's definitely something to this. Let's design a program around this DNA test, because it's one thing to get your results and see it on paper and go, oh, I recover slow. I have a high carb sensitivity. I have MTHFR gene variant. But you don't really know what to do about it. So let's help people get the report, do the testing. Now let's help them understand it and implement it. So let's design a program, which our program is now 12 weeks, and we help people understand what to do about their things and give them brand recommendations. Like you mentioned, hydration drinks, what kind of deodorants are actually right for your body and your skin? What are the clean personal care products out there, and creating actionable steps and helping people know and do. Right. A lot of times we know, but we don't do. So that's really how it came about. And a cool story, she told another person, she told another person, she told another person. It was just like referral after referral after referral. And I counted it. Eventually it was 8 people down that now this year, the guy was named, I think, Sports Illustrated Male Athlete of the Year. He emailed me and went, "Hey, I heard you do this thing with food. Can I do that thing?" Like, sure. So now he's won, I think it's like, gosh, I should probably know this, but 7 gold medals, I think.
Wow.
And so we got to, work with him, and that was really a cool experience. And he's referred us to other Olympians and other, high level athletes. So we got to work with a lot of people, which has been really, really cool. But that's just how successful, I would say, people found this tool. So they told people about it, and they've told people, and they told people, and it's just really branched out, which has been really cool.
Now, why do you think this isn't taught like the major universities, or is it taught that I don't know about, or what are your feedback on that?
Yeah, maybe you just didn't, kind of miss that class or miss that part. Maybe we're too tired as athletes and taking the wrong vitamins that we just missed that part. No, it's not. And that's the thing, we're always taught this, I call it the one size fits all nutrition model, right? With the one size fits all t-shirt, it's going to fit some people great. It's going to fit some people sort of okay. And other people are going to look like, they're wearing their, grandpa's t-shirt. It's not going to work. And so I totally agree with you. If you knew the answer to that question, I that'd be great, but it's not taught in college athletics or at the university or high school level, which I think is why we've had such a growing business and client base, because people want this information. They don't want to be told, well, eat carbs and fats and just eat more avocados and, just try to reduce the bad carbs, which we all know this stuff. Like, of course we do. But we're human. We're going to eat cupcakes. It's just going to happen. Okay. We're going to eat brownies, but when's the appropriate time to do that? Right. We don't know for our bodies, or what should we be eating the day before a game or a competition. So I don't know why it's not taught. I think it's just such new technology, honestly, still, that it goes against the norm. And to break away from the norm, to break away from Blockbuster, right? The Netflix guy was laughed at, right? And I was like, this is never going to happen. It's not going to work. People watching stuff on their TV and their couch, not going to happen from their TV. So it just takes time to catch on. And we've had conversations with coaches and teams and groups, and I think they're seeing the value of that, but it just will take time, and it does take money, right? It is a cost. So not every person or group or team can, financially afford to put their whole team, a team of 60 some people through this. So there's definitely part of that when it comes to cost effectiveness too.
So the last thing I want to ask you before I let you go is, I know I just want to dive into this a little bit, because I know for me as an athlete, I kind of suffered with it, is like the mental health, especially playing at a high level. It's not really talked about unless you're going through it. I know a lot of people that go through it and they don't say anything because there's no really outlet to talk about. So how important have you seen from the DNA testing? Is there a connection between that and the mental health field? And then how important is that to get fixed, or at least somewhat, not the word fixed, but at least let it be known that you can help at that point?
You know what? That's a great question. That's like a whole podcast in itself, because, in my family alone, and just as very personal, there's mental health stuff. And then once I've figured out my genetics, and that's something that I had dealt with. And as an athlete, where I was like, well, if we struggle with something, that just means we're weak and we got to push through it. And that's, back in the day, that's what it was. There's so much more mental health awareness now. But when I saw that I have a super high predisposition towards mental health concerns, and because of my genetic results, it was so refreshing and sort of relieving to see, okay, this is not something I've done wrong. This is literally genetic. And this is why my brain doesn't produce enough neurotransmitters because of this. And I was eating folic acid filled vitamins, and I was doing all the wrong stuff for my body. And there's actually a test out there that can get run by your doc. It's called the GeneSight test. There's many different versions, but it's a cheek swab too, same thing. And it will tell you genetically what is your best antidepressant drug. Which ones highly interact with your genetics, which ones moderately, and which ones are like green lights, you could use it. So it reduces that whole experimentation with drugs, right? And like, oh, this was a bad one, we got to get off of that, now we got to start this one. And so this is definitely becoming a more common thing of like doing things for your genetics for mental health. But there's probably, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, 1, 2, 3, 4 genes that we test that really strongly have some connections to mental health. And we talk about that. Have you ever experienced some mental health concerns? And in today's world, almost everybody says yes. It's just how it is with COVID going on and a lot of disruption. So we explain why, when you have this result, this happens. And one of your best solutions can be literally just ingesting more of these foods that are filled in folate or supplementing with additional folate that can help relieve those things. But quite honestly, a lot of people get relieved when they see it on paper and go, okay, now I understand why this is happening. And it's not just me being off or wrong or broken. It's literally in my genetics. So that's been pretty cool to help people just because it's personal to me, and it's been cool to help people with that.
No, that's awesome. Like I said, this last year, we going on a year in May. I lost my mom, so the COVID.
Oh my gosh.
So it's for me, it was like mentally it was tough, but because I don't play basketball anymore, that was my scapegoat. So whenever anything would go on in my life, I would just go to the basketball court. So now it's just trying to find things to, whether it's fishing or just going to the gym, just getting a lift in, just trying to keep my mind just at ease, because like I said, for my family, it was a whole adjustment. But I know as an athlete, for me, it's like you have this stereotype that you're stronger than everybody else, you can carry a bigger load. And I know a lot of people that's similar to mine, they take that on, but they don't really address like the mental health situation that's really going on in their life. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I know a lot of people that's listening to this, they may be going on or listening and saying, hey, I never really talked about it. And like I said, it's okay to feel the way you feel.
It is. And then it's just recognize, okay, now what do I do about this? And just to ease even more people's minds. And I get to work with some really high level athletes, which has been such a cool gift in our business. But you know what, when people come back from the Olympics, and a lot of people don't know this, there's major depression and struggles. Those people, and you would think as the everyday person that never achieved that, like you're at the epitome of your athletic career. You achieved what no one else gets. You reached the Olympics. That is most people's goal in life as an athlete, right? And they come back and they struggle hard with mental health. And that is a lonely, tough place. So even those people you think that just won X amount of medals or got to achieve and live their dreams at that largest competition of their lives, they come home and struggle. So you are not immune no matter how good you are. And that's a tough and lonely place. So yeah, there's a lot of struggle out there.
And I appreciate you sharing that. And then the last thing I want to ask you, I know you're busy. So what is a typical day like for you?
It's a great question.
Like Monday through Friday, what does your day look like?
Well, I got a lot of hats to wear. So it is busy. My 2 kids are at school in the morning, and then one of them comes home in the afternoon with me. So in the morning, I try to meet with clients. Today, we talked to a team. I went through a DNA review session with a former coach. I talked to a current athlete, a follow-up call about what to make for breakfast. Like that was his big question. I'm stuck. I'm tired of oatmeal. What should I eat? It's good for my genetics that I don't have to spend very much time at doing, right? And then, get to do this. I get to go pick up my little guy. We come home and I have a couple calls later on tonight. I don't always do things in the evening, but occasionally, I have to, just adjusting. We're getting ready for, in the swimming world, World Championships are coming up. So we got some people getting results back that want to make some changes. It's a little bit more of an immediate need to talk with them and get them ready to go to camp and go to World Championships. So that's a typical day. I mean, it's great. I get to hang out on Zoom and, typically, could wear sweatpants all day if I wanted to and get to talk to awesome people. I mean, some days I talk to these like super high level athletes, like, oh man, I love these guys the best. This is my favorite people to talk to. And then I'll talk to a woman who's struggling with fertility like I did this week and just in her 30s. And it's just a major struggle to get pregnant. And like, oh man, I just love those people the best. Those are my favorite people to work with. So it's so fun to work with so many different kinds of people.
That's awesome. And then I forgot to ask as well, when it came to, I just want to ask you one last thing. When it comes
Yeah, no, you're fine. Good.
when it comes to nutrition, do you see that when they get the DNA test back, let's say, is there, because I know a lot of people, they do go vegan diet or they only
Sure.
do carnivore. So is there a particular diet that you've seen that, let's say, hey, if they're vegan, if they DNA test say if you need meat, do you see that, or do you often just see like if they're vegan, they stay vegan, or what do you see when you see those results?
Yeah, so with their lifestyle, if there's somebody that's vegan and we see, genetically they really struggle with vitamin B12, which can only be gotten through animal products, we talk about, hey, we probably need to supplement with some vitamin B12 or creatine. There's no way you can get that in your diet if you are vegan. I never try to convince anybody like you should be plant-based or you should only eat meat, but we'll talk about how to balance things depending on your sensitivities. And some people just decide, okay, I'm going to be vegan because I feel better. But no concerns. I'm not going to tell you to be vegan if you don't want to, but we'll talk about what better choices of meat are probably out there for you versus the others. Yeah.
Got you. And then my last question I ask all my guests is, what is something that you're most grateful for?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I don't know if this was on the outline. I don't remember this one. Most grateful for, gosh, I think every opportunity I've ever had in my life. I mean, the opportunity to swim, that was just a really cool opportunity that opened so many more doors, and most grateful for my family, I guess, that gave me that opportunity to swim, and people that believed in me. And because of that opportunity, all this stuff happened. If they would have said, no, you're gonna be a basketball player, that none of this probably would have happened. So my family and believing in me, and that's probably the thing I'm most grateful for.
Got you. That's awesome. That's awesome. And then for people that want to reach out to you, is there a particular way that they can contact you via social media or? Yeah.
Instagram's probably the best way to reach out. Just shoot me a DM, and it's just my name. Erica Beine is what we are, me and our whole team. So just shoot me a DM. And what I typically do from there is just set up a time on Zoom like this, and we talk, and I listen to what you're struggling with, what you're dealing with, and I explain the whole process. And if it's something you want to move forward with, awesome. If it's something that doesn't sound like it's going to fix what you're after, can help at least point you in the right direction of what you could do elsewhere or in your local area that might be able to help you what you're looking for.
Gotcha. And like I said, I appreciate you spending time with me, Erica. And like I said, I appreciate all the knowledge that you dropped as well, because something that I've always wanted to learn, or when I seen your page, I was very intrigued by it. So like I said, as a former college athlete, I never knew any of this stuff. So if I did know, it would have saved me my longevity, my health wise, and all out. So
you'd be playing in the NBA finals.
Probably. I appreciate it. But I appreciate you coming on the show as well.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks a lot for having me, Quinn. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Problem.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe or to leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at quinnmitchellii.com, as well as find us on Instagram for more useful content and resources.